a better Nigeria? Is it a myth or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju.
Hi, my name is Onari, and this is Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. From the inception of this program, we have touched on topics like work, business, entrepreneurship, and then we entered into governance and dissected leadership and mentoring. And then the most important part was the role of citizens in ensuring good governance and nation building. In the studio this evening, I have Obi Brown and Adams Lojok and Dr. Reju. Now, on this episode, we are going to sort of wind down on what we've been talking about, governance. We'll wind down on that and move on to other important issues of life. And Obi Brown, what are we hinging on today?
Yeah, well, I don't know what we're hinging on today, but I came into the studio with lots of questions because the things that I hear here, I try to put them into practice. And one of them has been Dr. Reju's counsel for people, to be able to try and put pressure on government, to be able to see what they think is not going well and say something about it. But my question is, how do you do that without sounding like the opposition party? How do you critique government without sounding like a PDP supporter?
Yeah, it might be difficult because how you are perceived, how your statements are perceived, you don't really have a control over it. But that thing is an issue with political education in the society. The truth is, we might not accept it, that on a general level, in Nigeria, a normal citizen is not politically literate. We were not groomed to be that way. We are not active politicians because of the way politics is being, is being couched for us. Politics is about seeking elective posts. But politics is bigger than that. Every citizen of a country should be politically active. But we don't have that here. Maybe because of our background, our history, the way we sort of are structured in terms of family, but we're in democracy now and we all have to accept that. Having said that, even the structure of our country also doesn't help because we are first of all a tribesman before we are a national citizen. That in itself is a big setback. So somebody is from the north, a southerner says something that is not too complimentary about that person who comes from the north. It is perceived that the reason he's saying that is because they are not from the same, maybe geopolitical or ethnic kind of background. So that's a challenge, but it's not unsurmountable. It takes education. We've not yet come to terms with how citizens should relate with those in government. And I've said that and I need to reiterate that. Citizens don't queue behind those in government. It will be like the master serving the servant. Because those in government are our servants. And we are the ones that are supposed to appraise them. A teacher does not queue behind, the student. The teacher has the expectations. We have the expectations. Now, in this case of government, the politicians who are seeking elective posts come and they give us some promises. We want to be able to hold them accountable to those kind of promises. So accountability in government is still a bane of the Nigerian society. Because the way we are wired right now in terms of citizenship, we give the politicians, places to hide. Oh, he's saying that to me because there was a particular thing that happened when there's this scandal going on in Akwa Ibom State where the APC governorship candidate resigned from FCDA and was still drawing salary and all those kind of things. And the other guy said that, no, that man is a PDP man. That's why he's saying that about the guy. If it's the other way around, those are the kind of sentiments you sort of... So it takes political education. And that's what this program, in our own little way, try to put out there. That you say something uncomplimentary about... That's why I don't believe in the positive or negative criticism. It doesn't exist. There's nobody you criticize that feel good about it. Nobody smiles at any kind of criticism. Say it is constructive. Well, it depends on the way you look at it. But if you criticize anybody, especially if the person doesn't have a sense of servanthood. It's always not, people don't react positively to criticism. So it takes citizens to be able to say that I am on the side of good of society. And that's why I'm saying this. Again, we all have our biases. So my take on that is, let's educate. Let those in governance know that, citizens are there for this purpose, to put me on my toes. That they perceive it wrongly shouldn't stop me from continuing to mount up the pressure for the good of society.
Yeah. For the good of society.
For the good of society.
Absolutely. Good of society. Yeah. Well, I think for me personally, I've had, a lot of lessons from what we've been discussing on governance and all that. But, I see what is trending a little bit right now. Excuse me. Our political office holders, get elected into office based on emotions. People carry a lot of emotions. And then with this sentiment, they elect these people, deliver this thing. We want you to deliver this thing. And then on reaching office, I believe there are some ethos that should guide someone who gets into office. Now, you find out that probably there's a disconnect. Immediately they get into office. How do we begin to balance that now? Is it education on the politician's side or education on the masses side?
It's holistic, because a lot of people, at a time in this program we spoke about mentoring. Yeah. How to mentor people into political, maybe into political life as it has to do with seeking elective posts. There are a lot of education that's needed in that area, and also, especially from schools. I remember in the days we used to learn civics and all those kind of things. Those things are no longer in schools. I doubt if they're there. We just do some social studies here and there, types of family, types of all those kind of things. But active public life, people, especially the young ones, they need to, to be streetwise people. That because governance, like you said, doesn't operate by emotions. The politician want to use that. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria. We want to use emotions to get votes. But we can't use emotions to mount, to demand, for accountable governance. So we have to understand that government, like you rightly said, it has its ethos. Governance operate by set laws. The expectations are guided by those laws, by those principles, by using your word, the ethos. Now, if I am going to mount pressure on government, right, to be able to deliver on their promises, I must understand those ethos. So when the government is trying to play on my own emotion, I will step out of that and say, no, I understand you are my brother. I understand we come from the same part of the country. But this is what this office says. And we also need to know what is expected of somebody occupying this kind of position. What is expected? Do we know their schedule of duty? Do we know their job description? Parastatals like national orientation, you should be doing. But again, if you know that people are put there based on this same kind of emotion and sentiment, so there is no objectivity in the way we carry on our political life. Somebody gets appointed into a position, you see the kind of, reactions or responses to it. Oh, congratulations, and all those kind of. So we already have some, we've already created our own ethos, which are not the accurate ones. There's a perception of somebody who just gotten a political appointment. If your brother, is appointed into an office and you get back to maybe your office the next day, people are congratulating you because, government like yes has come. And then we say we are fighting corruption. The missing piece in good governance in Nigeria is the political awareness of the citizenry. We don't know. So those in political office feed fat on our political ignorance. So it's because somebody critique a particular kind of office holder that has just been appointed. Look at the comments. Those from his part of the country will not have anything bad to say about it. And those who are not, they have everything, bad to say about it. So it's still a question of, there was a time on this program we actually spoke about this ethnicity. We can't deny the fact that we are different. But there is always one point or two or three that unites us. Those are things we need to amplify. If this country gets, constant power supply doesn't know whether you're Hausa or Igbo. Everybody enjoys it. That's it. So whosoever needs to deliver on that, I don't want to relate with that guy as a Hausa man, Igbo man, or Yoruba man, or Ibibi, or whatever. So what we want benefits everybody. Yeah. It benefits. Let's continue to focus on that. Don't let us do this pick and choose. Obi made that vital point, which we need to amplify. That I say something bad about Goodluck Jonathan does not make me a supporter of Buhari. This country is not about Goodluck and Buhari. This country was here before they came. The country will still be here when they are long gone. So we can't just, be here. We can't just birth at that particular place. It's a route. Yeah. We need to go through it. We need to go through it. Let's
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we're getting somewhere, right? And I just need a little bit more from you on two things. I mean, you in your very first response to the first question, you use the word appraise. And Adams also use the word when he says deliver this thing, deliver it. Yeah. So I guess I need to ask, what do we, the citizens, how do we come to a place where we have, based on our level of maturity as a society, how do we come to a place where we have a performance sort of indices for the guys who get into government, right? And be able to appraise them based on those indices.
When we're talking about, probing and trends, recent trends, you said that it's possible for them to become so engrossed with this and forget what they're actually supposed to be doing to get into it. Just to add to Obi's.
We have to know where we lay the foundation of that appraising or the appraiser. At the level of somebody seeking office, right? Do we take time to listen to what the guy is saying he wants to do? Because every politician that's seeking an elective office comes with a promise. Okay. I am going to do this. So that's the beginning. Now you want to look at what he said he wants to do. How realistic is that? Is he just saying that? Somebody just said, I'm going to fight corruption. I'm going to give you power. What you want to ask is how? Where are we? What is the strategy? Please listen carefully to this. There is no new thing. The nation already has a structure. There is no politician coming with anything new in terms of what I want to do. You can't tell me you are going to provide housing. That's your job description. What you want to say in your manifesto, in your campaign is how. I'm going to fight corruption cannot be a political manifesto. It is the duty of those in government to fight corruption. It can't be a political promise. The promise is what? How? Because that's the one that we can appraise. First of all, we can look at it. This how, is it possible? Is it realistic? Will it be within the ambit of the law? Will you, if I just said I'm going to bring Chinese people here and they're going to give us power, what is the modality? Right? I'm going to fight corruption. What is the modality? Fighting corruption is given. Providing housing is given. Giving education is given. Right? All those things are given. You don't, but that's where we are. He said he's going to give us free education. It's given. How are you going to fund it? So Nigerians need to know, because our government over the years, they give us promises based on what's given. It's like you employ somebody and the person is promising the employer, I'm going to work here. That's why you're employed. Exactly. Don't tell me you're going to work. That's given. How? How are you going to work? What do you bring that's different? What are you going to do differently from what the other person? And you did the normal thing a politician will do is to denounce the previous government. That's given. It's good. Because you want to defeat the guy in the polls. So we need to learn that, okay, don't come and promise me what you are supposed to do that I know you should do. Say, husband telling the wife, I'm going to love you. Well, that's given. That's given. So it's, what are you going to, how is this love now going to be unique to you and I? Not the general love. You can't appraise something which is ab initio or unrealistic. But when we are given to those sentiments, those emotions, we're not even looking at what the guy is saying. We just want our man, our son, our daughter, to be there. That our son, our daughter is one of the major problems we have in this country because it kills merit. I don't personally like federal character. If everybody in Buhari's government is from Katsina, even Daura, and they are good, they are not coming because they are from Katsina or from Daura. They are selected based on, I know that might be a big ask for Nigeria. I'm just saying that we should be moving towards merit. We should look for what strengthens the union, what strengthens the nation. We must always feel our best. The moment we go on this, we even take federal character down to how we give people admission into school. That is sad. That was a time we were calling for federal character in our football team. Oh, that's horrible. So because I'm a Delta man now and I know how to play football, and you bring somebody from Igbo land, from Nasarawa, who doesn't know how to play football, but this one must put a Nigerian. We're gonna lose every match. You see, that's the point. I know that even with our diversity, we can look to every tribe and look for them. But it shouldn't be big. Number one shouldn't be because of tribal sentiments. It should be on the basis of skill, experience, on the basis of this is our best. So these are praisers. First of all, sentiment has to go out of it. It has to go out of it. Then we must never be found in a place where we are demanding from people what they didn't promise.
Okay.
That's why in this country, one of the other things we don't do well is those pre-election debates. We don't do it well. That one is even fueled by a lot of sentiments. Those who organize it already have like a preference. There's no objectivity. So it's a whole lot of issue here. But appraising the government is critical. And the one that's going to appraise somebody must have the correct kind of expectation. It must be what the person said he's going to do. Right? For example, now you can't begin to task Buhari on restructuring this country. He never promised that. To make that demand on him would be wrong. He didn't promise that. And it's not mandated to. That's it. And who says to restructure the country is the only solution to our problem? Because we have a structure right now. Problem is never the structure. Problem is never the institution. It's the people. We can restructure this country and we still continue to wallow in this kind of, 2 steps backward, one step forward. So we can't make demand on that, on him, because it wasn't part of his manifesto. It would be wrong. He never promised that.
You touched a hot button issue, the issue of restructuring. Many of us young folk don't really know what it's all about. And I guess it was during the last national conference that we started to really know what, the restructuring was all about. But you've also now said that Buhari didn't promise that, so we shouldn't really hold him by it. So what other options do we have if really Nigerians are better served with the restructuring that was canvassed at the national conference? What can we do?
We can man the pressure so much so that he buys into it, but he must buy into it. We must be able to put up an argument. We must be able to state a position. The way we appraise a government, it should be based on what they promised. Because my belief is that what they promise is the basis for their being elected. All right. So you call that a hot button issue? It is. It is. But like I said also, structure is not a guarantee for good governance. Right? The best of laws doesn't guarantee the rule of law. Even the basic natural law written in people's consciences is enough. Is enough. If there are sincere, committed, well-enlightened people who know something about governance. There's a saying that the best way a king can actually be, exercise rulership is to serve his people. The best way a king can actually exercise rulership is to become a servant. Okay. So it's really, we can clamor for structure. Let's restructure this country. Some will say, let's go a different ways. It's not a guarantee. The restructuring of this country looks good But if we have the same kind of people, with the same mentality, with this same worldview, even if you restructure, right? Even if you devolve the way we say power to the, to the sides and weaken the center. If we still have the same mentality, the same worldview, the same approach to, public issues, we will still find ourselves in the same spot.
Yeah.
Right.
And the people who have divided and conquered us will continue to divide.
They will continue to, give the shot that's a room divider. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I wanted to say finally, but I'm not the uncle.
I needed to just ask. We have talked about education, talked about putting pressure. What are some tools that people listen, can use to put pressure on local authorities, on state authorities, on federal authorities, and some tools that people can use to increase the knowledge, political sophistication of neighbors, and of communities?
There's one that's really at our fingertips: social media. Social media is so, is so potent. But what saddens me is the fact that social media has been used for all the wrong things. That the positives, the right things that social media can do, we're not even using it for that. Last time I checked the statistics, Nigeria is top 10 Facebook users. Top 10. But what do we put there? Quotes, catchy phrases, some put scriptures, Bible verses, or what kind of some senseless, you do selfies and you put it there. And all those kind of things that doesn't help society in any way. Social media it has turned everybody now to a journalist. Look at the guy that killed the two journalists in America this week. Immediately he posted the video on YouTube, put it on Facebook, tweeted it, and in few seconds the thing was all over the world. That's the power of social media. But we've used social media for all the wrong things. All the vanity and all those. Somebody just wake up in the morning, take a picture and put it there. What's the benefit of that? What's the benefit of that? We need to use it for education. We need to deploy that platform for education. Imagine I can say something in this little room and it goes bam all over the world. So education has become so easy because everybody is everywhere at the same time. Right?
Yeah.
You can have a global public debate, with just the click of a button. So that's what I believe is potent because everybody is getting it. For us to mount any kind of pressure on those in governance, we must be educated politically. We must be educated socially. We must be educated economically. How many people listen to business news? We don't have a clue what goes on there. We don't have a clue. How many young Nigerians have investment in stocks?
Yeah. Dr. Reju, thank you for the pain that you take to be here every Friday. For my co-anchors and co-colleagues on this program, Obi Brown and Adams, I dub my hat for you guys. Thank you for being here and there. We'll be back with another topic next week. Thank you. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified.